In these days of uncertainty, you hear a whole lot about growing survival food. Well, we Southerners have been doing that for many generations. Our survival food is Southern peas. Now, I grow Blackeye peas and zipper peas, but there's other kinds that you can grow too. Southern peas just love the deep South. They don't mind the heat. So come on in with me while I pick today's harvest, and I'll tell you all about growing Southern peas.
All I have needs, I have not provided.
Now this bed of peas will give me several harvests. If you can plant some of your peas where they get shade for half the day, then they may continue to give you a harvest all the way into July or so. It's the end of May right now. So, but this bed is probably going to be good for about 4 weeks before the sun just fries the plants. Ideally, you pick your peas when it's dry. But if you live in Central Florida like I do, or anywhere in the deep South, you know that by the time these plants get really completely dry from the dew that's settled on them from the evening, then it's scorching hot. So if you do wait till then, be sure that you protect yourself with a hat. And I don't like to use sunscreen, so I will use a men's white cotton shirt, and it does provide a lot of protection. Now this is a Sunbody hat. It's probably 20 years old now. They last for a long time, and they block out 90-some% of the sun's rays. They're a really good hat to invest in. I'll leave a link in the description below. So I am picking the peas early morning. They are still damp. And so what I'm going to do is I'll be spreading them out on a sheet so that they can dry. And I'm going to wait at least until late afternoon, early evening before I actually shell them. And the reason is if you let the pods dry just a little bit, say up to 24 hours, they're easier to shell. So if you are going to wait a day before you shell your peas, you really need to spread them out because they will get mold and start to rot right away. So I like to pick them when they're at this stage here. Some people pick them a little earlier, some pick them until the pod starts to turn yellow. In my experience, picking them when they're yellow, well, they just start to have a bigger chance of spoiling while they're still on the plant. So I like to pick them when they're green. If you've never had fresh Blackeye peas, then you've missed out. Don't judge a Blackeye pea by the dried ones that you've been buying by the bag in the grocery store. In fact, some of you have said, no, thank you. I happen to like them either way. They are a different taste, but these are considered green. So what I do is I will wait several hours, up to 24 hours before I shell them, and then you just cook them in water. That's all there is to it. A lot of people like to season theirs with different seasonings. I prefer, well, I actually like a spoonful of bacon grease in the water, but I try to stay away from that as much as I can. And I will put different smoke flavors in with it, and it does just fine. You can chop up you might want to add chopped onions maybe some garlic in with it, smoked paprika if you want to give it a little bit of a smoky flavor. And then I serve mine over brown rice. And there you have a really good, nutritious meal right there. So you see these peas right here? You can see they're developing nicely, but I'm going to let them grow for 3 or 4 more days until they look like that one. You see the difference in the size of the peas that would be inside? So right here, I have all different stages of peas that are developing. Just came out of the blooms here. This is the next stage. Here's more, and here's more. To go from this little guy all the way up to here is only going to be at the most 1 week. But you see on this one right here, this one's ready to pick. You don't want it to start developing rust and spots. Look how easy that was to shell. So you're going to pull that string backwards and just peel it back. Aren't they beautiful? So here's some that got ripe really early. I really don't like them going this far unless I'm going to save it for seeds. You see how they start to deteriorate with age. And this was ready, I'd say just 2 days ago, and already they're starting to deteriorate. So if you're going to save seeds, this is a perfect development for you to save seeds. You've got to let them be really, really ripe. So here's the different stages. This is good to pick, that's good to pick, that's good to pick. These are still good to eat, but I would rather save the seeds if they've gone this far. So these are really ripe, and this is from a green one. Let me save my ripe ones. And look at the difference. These are green. Those are perfect for fresh eating. Okay, so these will actually grow another plant. These are not mature enough to grow another plant. So you see the difference? So I've shown you how to harvest your peas, but what about how to plant them? I planted these the second week of March, and now it's the end of May. So they take about 2.5 to 3 months before they're ready to harvest. When you plant your peas, you're going to plant them about 3 inches apart, and your rows need to be about 12 inches apart. Now I have 2 rows in this bed right here, but if you have just straight rows, you might want to give yourself more than 12 inches between the rows so that you can actually walk in between. It's a jungle down in here in between and at 12 inches apart. But I use beds that I don't walk on. They are not encased in wood or anything. They're just free form. And so I will put 2 rows of whatever vegetable I'm growing into a 3-foot wide bed. One problem that we have here in the South, because it can be so damp and warm, is rust. If you see rust on any of the leaves down underneath or on top, then just give them a light dusting of sulfur. And that it won't cure the leaves that are already affected, but it will cause the next growth, continued growth, to be beautiful and green. Now, I did start getting some rust on these plants when they were about 12 to 18 inches tall, and you see how beautiful they've recovered. Another thing that is my absolute most hated pest is stink bugs. They will go along the whole length of the pea or bean, and they will poke a hole in it. So this year I haven't had that much of a problem. I don't know if the freeze kind of has cut down the population, but I don't have that problem this year. But if you do, and I have in years past, then put on some gloves, and you're going to have to go through and try your best to catch them and squash them. And I did that for 2 years in a row, just squashing everyone I could find. And maybe that's cut down the population. I think that's what has helped. Now, if you have peas that have been stung by the stink bugs, believe it or not, a lot of those will grow another plant. Just put them to the side and use them for seeds. And if you use those kind of seeds for planting, then you might want to plant them a little bit more thick, because it does affect the viability a little bit. So let's say 1 and 3 don't sprout. Well, you've planted thick enough to make up for the ones that don't sprout. Now, the black-eye peas are generally a bush, but I have noticed that as the generations go by, I'm getting more and more vines, and that's okay. You can plant them near the corn, and they'll climb up the corn. They've attached themselves to this mustard plant that I've let go to seed. So in this case, I try not to save the seeds from the plants that make vines, because I'd rather they remain as bushes. So I try to just keep that from happening by being very selective on what seeds that I keep. These are zipper peas, and they're called zipper peas because they are so easy to shell. Now, they make a green pea that's still the shape of a southern pea, but they taste, to me, they taste very much like an English pea. And if I want to use them in place of English peas, they make a great substitute. So these take a little bit longer to mature. You see, they're just now starting to make peas, and most of the peas will be on top. They send a stalk up to the top, and they're beautiful. They're easy to pick, and they're easy to shell, easy to cook, easy to freeze. Look how beautiful the blooms are. Just a beautiful plant. Beautiful blooms. You see this stalk right here? It goes from way down in there, and they just send them up to make it quite convenient to pick. Black-eye peas are so easy to preserve. I prefer to freeze mine, but you can also can them. So what I do to freeze mine, I cook them to the point that they're ready to eat, and then I just put them in a reusable container and I freeze it. If you want to can your peas, they're still delicious, but they are going to taste different. They're no longer going to taste like that fresh pea. They're going to taste more like your dried peas that you've cooked and, used for a recipe. Honestly, I don't remember if I made a video on how to do that. If I haven't, then I'm going to make a promise to you that I will show you how to can black-eye peas or zipper peas. So why not subscribe? I have over 200 videos that walk you through all kinds of vegetables and how to grow them. Thanks for watching, and please give it a green thumbs up.